Just let her wear it, my sister said, smoothing the lace like it belonged to her. She won't miss it. The room answered with laughter. Forks clinked. Someone coughed. The balloon strings brushed the ceiling like nervous fingers. I stood still, holding my phone, watching my niece spin in the doorway, my child's birthday dress catching the light, the satin bow crooked where my daughter's name was stitched inside. The cake candles weren't even lit yet, and already something precious had been blown out. My name is Elena. I'm 34. When did love in this family start sounding like permission to take? My daughter was in the backyard with my mother, face smeared with frosting from a test cupcake. She hadn't seen it yet. She hadn't seen her cousin wearing the dress we chose together, the one she pressed against her cheek at the store and whispered, "This one feels happy." The mirror by the hallway reflected everything twice. My sister's smirk, my brother-in-law's raised eyebrow, my aunt's mocking laugh that said, "Don't make a scene." The mirror always did that. It made truths louder. "I'll take a photo," someone said. I did. The shutter clicked. The dress looked older on my niece, like it had already lived a life without us. A strange thought crossed my mind. The chair by the wall looked like it was waiting for me. Waiting for me to sit, to swallow it, to be the quiet one again. My sister leaned in, voice sweet. "You're being dramatic." I smiled. The kind that doesn't reach the eyes. The kind you practice when you learn that speaking up costs more than staying calm. I touched the fabric once, felt the warmth of another child's body where my daughter should have been, and pulled my hand back. In that moment I understood something with a clean, cold clarity. This wasn't about a dress. It was about who gets to decide what my child misses, and who thinks we won't notice when we do. That understanding settled in my chest like a held breath, and I let it stay there while the party kept moving around me. Music came on, too loud for a backyard, the kind my sister liked because it drowned out thinking. The mirror caught me again as I turned toward the kitchen. I looked calm, almost grateful. That seemed to relax everyone. My sister clapped her hands. "Cake time." I stepped inside to cut slices, my fingers steady on the knife. The frosting was too sweet. The smell made my head ache. My mother hovered near the sink, eyes flicking between us, lips pressed thin. She didn't say anything. She never did when it mattered. Silence was her inheritance. In the living room my niece twirled again. "Aunt Elena, look," she laughed, proud, innocent. The dress flared. The stitching flashed. I smiled at her, real this time, because none of this was her fault. Children only wear what they're given. My sister leaned against the counter beside me. "You know," she said softly, like advice, "kids outgrow things so fast. It's nice to share." Sure. The word tasted wrong. I wiped my hands and nodded. "You're right." Her shoulders dropped. Victory. She had always mistaken my calm for surrender. I stepped outside and called my daughter in. She ran toward me, ponytail bouncing, eyes bright. "Is it time?" I knelt and straightened her collar. She noticed the dress immediately. Her smile paused, just a flicker. "Mom, that's my..." I kissed her forehead before the sentence could finish. "We'll talk later," I whispered. Trust passed between us, quiet and heavy. Back inside, laughter rose again. Someone poured more wine. My brother-in-law joked about family perks. The mirror watched. So did I. I slipped my phone from my pocket and checked the photo I'd taken, the proof frozen in soft afternoon light. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask for the dress back. I didn't explain why my hands felt numb. I simply stepped into the hallway, closed the door gently, and made a phone call that had nothing to do with birthdays, and everything to do with the price of living for free. The call connected on the second ring. I turned my back to the noise, resting my shoulder against the cool wall. The hallway smelled like old paint and lemon cleaner. Familiar. Almost comforting. "Hi," I said quietly. "It's Elena." There was a pause. Paper rustled. A keyboard clicked. "I was wondering when you'd call," the woman on the other end replied, her voice calm, professional. Not unkind. "I need to confirm something," I said. "About the house." Another pause, longer this time. "Of course." Behind the door my sister's laugh spiked, sharp, mocking. Someone said my name, stretched out like a tease. I closed my eyes and pictured the mirror again, the way it doubled the truth. "They're still listed as occupants only," I said. "No lease. No contribution." "Correct." "That's correct," she answered. "It's been that way since you inherited the property." Inherited. The word landed softly, like a secret that had waited years to be spoken out loud. I thanked her and ended the call. No fireworks. No threats. Just confirmation. I stood there for a moment longer, letting the quiet stitch itself back into me. The chair at the end of the hallway still looked like it was waiting. I didn't sit. When I returned, my sister raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? Perfect, I said. The cake was cut. Candles blown out. My daughter made a wish she didn't tell anyone. The dress stayed on my niece, absorbing crumbs and frosting, collecting a story it never asked for. I watched the fabric stain and felt something in me unstain at the same time. Later, as gifts were opened, my aunt leaned over. "You're so generous," she said, smiling thinly. "I could never." I met her eyes. "I know." The mirror caught that too. As the sun dipped, my sister gathered plates. "We'll keep the dress," she said casually. "Save you the trouble." I nodded once. Controlled. The kind that scares people when they understand it too late. That night, after everyone left, I folded the empty tissue paper from the gift bag and placed it by the mirror. The house felt different, lighter. Like it was done pretending. 3 days, I thought. 3 days was enough time for the truth to arrive properly dressed. The next morning, the house was quiet in a way that rang. No music. No laughter leaking through walls. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the soft scrape of my daughter's spoon against her bowl. I stood by the sink watching steam rise from my coffee, watching my reflection bend in the chrome. The mirror on the hallway wall caught me again as I passed, steady, composed, almost unfamiliar. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from my sister. "Can you watch the kids later? We have errands." No greeting. No thank you. I didn't answer. By afternoon, the house across town, my house, came into sharper focus in my mind. I remembered the day the papers were signed, how my father's pen shook, how he squeezed my hand under the table like he was apologizing without words. He had said, "Keep it in the family." He hadn't said who the family was. I spent the day doing ordinary things. Laundry. Dishes. Homework. Ordinary is a good cover. Ordinary keeps people from noticing the ground shifting under their feet. That evening, my brother-in-law called. His voice was easy, practiced. "Hey, we're thinking of hosting Easter here this year," he said. "You're okay with that, right? Since they lived there for free. Since they'd always lived there for free." "I'll check my calendar," I said. Silence. Then a chuckle. "You're funny." After the call, I opened my laptop and read the email already waiting. Clear language. Dates. Notice requirements. Everything neat, lawful, quiet. I printed it and slid the pages into a folder the color of old bone. My daughter wandered in, holding a crayon. "Mom," she said, "can I draw on this?" She pointed to the back of the folder. I nodded. She drew a small house with a door and a sun that didn't quite touch the roof. That night, I placed the folder by the mirror. It reflected twice. Once for what they thought they had, once for what was already gone. In the other house, they were still laughing. The third day began with rain. Not heavy, just enough to make everything sound farther away. Drops tapped the windows like questions no one wanted to answer. I drove across town with the folder on the passenger seat, my daughter's crayon sun peeking out from the edge. The wipers moved in a slow, patient rhythm. I matched it with my breathing. The house looked the same. White siding. Blue door. The porch light that flickered if you touched it wrong. Familiarity can be a kind of theft when it convinces people they own what they never earned. My sister opened the door in slippers, hair tied up carelessly. She smiled when she saw me. "You came early." "I won't stay," I said. Inside, toys were scattered across the floor. The chair by the wall, the same one from my memory, sat angled toward the door, like it had been waiting for this moment instead. My brother-in-law muted the TV. The room filled with rain silence. "What's up?" he asked. I handed my sister the folder. She laughed as she opened it. The laugh stopped halfway through the first page. Her eyes moved fast, then slow. "What is this?" she asked, though she already knew. "Notice," I said. "One word. Cling." "You can't be serious," she said, looking up. "We're family." I glanced at the dress hanging over a chair, still faintly stained with frosting. "So is my daughter." My brother-in-law stood. "This is about the party? You're being petty." "No," I said. "This is about the mirror." They stared at me. Confused. I agree. Small. You have 3 days, I added, voice steady. Utilities end after. My sister's mouth opened, closed. Where are we supposed to go? I stepped back into the rain. That's not something you ever worried about for me. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. Missed calls. Messages stacking like dominoes. I didn't answer. The drive home felt longer than it was. The rain had stopped, leaving the roads dark and reflective, like they were holding on to every passing face. My phone buzzed again. Then again. I turned it face down in the cup holder and focused on the red lights ahead of me. Each one felt like a full stop. By evening, the calls turned into messages. You're tearing the family apart. Mom is crying that you've always been jealous. I read them once. Then I slid the phone beside the mirror and watched the screen go black. Silence has weight when you choose it. The next morning, my mother came over without calling. She stood in the doorway, coat still on, eyes searching my face for the daughter she used to manage. You didn't have to do it like this, she said. I poured her tea and waited for the kettle to click off. Like what? Legal, she said, as if the word itself were a betrayal. I met her gaze. They laughed at my child. She looked away. That was her answer. Later that day, my sister left a voicemail. Her voice broke halfway through. Not apology, panic. We don't have anywhere lined up yet, she said. Please. I saved the message. Not to play again. Just to know it existed. In the afternoon, I walked my daughter to the park. She pointed to a girl wearing a dress with a big bow. I don't want mine anymore, she said simply. Why? I asked. He shrugged. It feels sad now. That night, I packed the mirror side folder away. The house felt steadier, like it had exhaled. Somewhere across town, boxes were being filled. Laughter was gone. Noise replaced it. I slept without dreaming. The third day arrived quietly. No rain. No calls. Just a pale morning light that made everything look honest. I stood in the hallway adjusting my coat and caught my reflection in the mirror. I looked older than I had a week ago. Not tired. Finished. At noon, my sister texted. One line. We're packing. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to the donation center with my daughter. She carried the dress in her arms, folded carefully, like you'd carry something that once mattered. The fabric still smelled faintly of vanilla and sunscreen. The woman at the counter smiled kindly. It's beautiful, she said. My daughter nodded. Someone else can feel happy in it. In the car, she fell asleep before we reached the end of the block. That afternoon, my brother called. Not my brother-in-law. My brother. His voice was low, cautious. They're saying you planned this, he said. That you were just waiting for an excuse. I thought of the mirror. The way it never lies, only repeats. Tell them the truth, I said. I waited to be treated like a person. He didn't argue. At dusk, I drove past the house. A truck was parked out front. Boxes stacked by the curb. My sister sat on the steps, head in her hands. For a moment, I felt the old pull. The reflex to fix, to smooth, to pay the cost so others didn't have to. I kept driving. That night, I played the voicemail once. Just once. Then I deleted it. The phone felt lighter in my hand. Before bed, I moved the mirror. Just a few inches. Enough to catch a different angle. Enough to remind myself that reflection changes when you do. Tomorrow it would be over. The morning was crisp, the kind that sharpens sound and light. I poured coffee slowly, letting the steam curl between my fingers. My daughter stacked her blocks in the corner, humming to herself, unaware of the tension that had filled our house for days. I watched her, thinking how delicate justice can be when it's quiet. By 10, the last boxes were gone. My sister's car pulled out of the driveway, a trail of dust marking the end of their unearned comfort. I didn't follow. I didn't wave. I stayed in the living room, letting the emptiness settle around me like a well-made bed. The house smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, of the rain that had soaked the yard days ago, and of possibilities. I went to the mirror one last time. The reflection wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. About knowing that letting go quietly can be louder than shouting. About understanding that boundaries aren't just rules, they're respect. My daughter came over and touched the glass. We did it, Mommy, she asked. Yes, I said. We did. I set the birthday dress in a drawer, folded neatly, a memory of laughter that didn't belong to us but now belonged to no one but her. The mirror caught the light just so, showing the empty hallway with a gentle clarity. I didn't need vengeance written on their walls, only the calm truth that some actions ripple farther than anyone expects. Later I took my daughter outside. The sun was soft, gold over the lawn. For the first time in days I breathed without thinking of retribution. I let her run ahead, her laughter pure, unclaimed. I didn't call anyone. I didn't check their news. I simply walked, letting the quiet be the measure of what had changed. And in that silence I understood. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes, it is the stillness after the storm, the space left where deceit once lived, and the dignity that rises quietly from what is rightfully yours.